It's another new month, and we're getting close to the end of the year, but that never means that the MMA world is slowing down, because this week we have a KO of the week that is absolutely brutal, and it comes in my favorite form of a head kick KO, and we've got some submissions that I've called rare in the past, but as of lately we keep seeing more and more of them, so maybe these fighters are starting to up their game drastically. And Poland does what Poland does best, and yeah, that's right, we've got another 2v2 MMA fight, but first things first, let's get to our fan comment of the week that goes to Nish Brown, who said, "If at first you don't succeed, try, and try again." Which I think was Abdelaziz's game plan from last week, where if you missed it, he slams his opponent 4 times, and the final one was just the icing on the cake as he puts him to sleep, and Abdelaziz got the win in brutal fashion, so congrats to him, and congrats to Brown on winning our fan comment of the week. What is going on, everyone? It's the Casual, Lawton Veerkant, and this is Caposa's Corner. Kicking us off this week, we're heading to Russian Cage Fighting Championship 12 in Russia, where we have 2 fights to show you. First, we have the main event middleweight fight that sees Alexander Ilic sitting at a nice 13-5 record, and he's taking on the legend Alexander Shlemenko, who we feature on the show before, and you should definitely know his name as he's been fighting since 2004 in almost every organization and has an insane 61-13 record. So the good news for this one is that the fight is fantastic. The bad news is it only lasts 21 seconds.
И сразу бросается в глаза, что ух ты, какой колено! Попадает мощным коленом Ильич! В опасности Шлеменко! Да, есть проблема у Александра и рефери, да!
And ladies and gentlemen, we may have just witnessed the upset of the year. Ilic takes this win in quick and definitive fashion by landing this huge knee that just absolutely shakes Shlemenko, who falls back down to the canvas, and then the unprotected ground and pound is all this ref needs to see before stopping this fight just 21 seconds in. And to just put it into perspective, Shlemenko has only lost 2 fights via KO TKO, so Ilic claiming this win via strikes was a huge win for his resume, and that bumps him up to a very nice 14-5 record, and I am sure this will land him some more high-profile fights very soon. For our second fight at RCC 12, we have a featherweight matchup between Evgeny Ignatiev with another nice record of 18-2, and his opponent Anderson Dos Santos has a 23-9 record and is a name you might recognize from his UFC run from 2018 to 2021. So after a very intense stare down, we fast forward to the end of the first round where we have just about 45 seconds left, and Evgeny does this combination that just drops Santos, but that's not quite the end because 10 seconds later, well, he does this.
Остановился буквально за доли секунды. 30 секунд еще есть конец.
2 devastating right to left hook combos, which I don't know how he survived the first one, but he did. But when Evgeny lands this second one, it just collapses him to the canvas. Just the sound of that final hook landing was probably enough to knock someone out, so congrats to Evgeny on this win, which puts him on a 9-fight winning streak and improves his record to 19-2. Next up, we're going to take an Absolute Championship Akhmat 143, also in Russia, where we also have 2 fights to show you. For the first, we have a bantamweight bout that sees Jadal Alibekov with a very clean 8-0 record, and his opponent Mukhitdin Kolov is sitting at an 8-3 record. Okay, so this fight actually makes it to the 3rd round, but as we near the 30-second mark, someone is about to go down via a huge knee. One knee directly to the chin that sends him down, and then about 5 unprotected ground shots, and the ref has finally seen enough and puts an end to this beating. Look at the way he falls down after the knee, just completely stiff and hardly moving, because I'm pretty sure he was on autopilot after that. But Alibekov seals the deal with these final few blows and gains the win, keeping his record undefeated at 9-0. And for our second fight at ACA 143, let's get right into it because it is time for Caposa's KO of the week. Here we have a bantamweight matchup between Rodrigo Praya, sitting at a 16-7 record, and he's up against Sheikh Mansour Khabibulaev with just an even 1-1 record. Alright, yet another one that I'm not too sure what the matchmakers were thinking because those records just don't seem to add up, but with just a minute and a half left in the first round, you're about to witness a potential KO of the year highlight. One insane spinning wheel kick right to the head, and Praya is teleported to another dimension. Just look at how beautifully he throws this kick, and then for it to land as clean as it did and just send him down and out. Yeah, Caposa is definitely right about this one already being a contender for KO of the year. Also, fun fact, Khabibulaev won last year's World Combat Sambo Championship in, you guessed it, the same exact way with a huge spinning wheel kick. And although this only improves his MMA record to 2-1, he clearly is showing some skill and talent early on, so we hope to see some more from him in the future. Now we're gonna head to Octagon League 34 in Kazakhstan, where we have 2 fights. And for the first, let's keep the momentum going because it is time for Caposa's hand-picked submission of the week. Here we have a bantamweight bout that sees Daniyor Yakubjanov, who has a 2-3 record, and his opponent Evgeny Surin has just a 1-0. So here we make it to the second round, and right at a minute in, Yakubjanov gets a nice takedown on Surin, and that's where we're gonna stay for the next 30 seconds.
қолмен үшбұрыш әдісі және қандай позициядан жасады бұны.
Oh yeah, an arm triangle from the bottom that he secures as they roll over when Surin tries to get him off his back. And as you can see, that plan didn't exactly work out because once Yakubjanov does secure this triangle, it only took 8 seconds for the tap and this one is over. A fantastic win for him though, as he gets this impressive highlight and improves his record to an even 3-3. For our second fight at Octagon 34, we have a catchweight bout at 139 pounds between Ali Shoev, who just has a 1-0 record, and he's taken on Ryambek Asan, who also just has a 1-0 record. Remember in the intro when I mentioned some submissions that I've been saying are rare, but it seems like every single week we keep seeing them? Well, this is the exact reason why I said that earlier.
шынымен де аралас жекпе-жекке тыңғылықты дайындалған шығар. Банана сплит болды!
Yeah, you saw that right. We have yet another Suloev stretch submission win, and this one gets more style points because the roll into this one was just beautiful. I really do have to quit saying these are rare because I would be willing to put money down that next week I bet we have another one. But a huge congrats to Asan for pulling off this submission and doing it in just over a minute, securing the win and improving his record to a clean 2-0. Up next, we're going to pay a visit to Fame MMA 15 in Poland, where we have the fight I mentioned in the intro, and yeah, it is time for a 2-on-2 MMA fight. So this is a catchweight bout at I don't know how much because they all kind of weighed in differently, so I'm not sure the logic there, but we have the Nefati brothers who are making their MMA debut, and if you recognize that name, it could be in large part due to their 18.1 million followers on TikTok, where they've been cutting some sick promos for this event.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.
And they're taking on Varyat and Wozniak, who are not brothers and are also making their MMA debut. So it's a pretty standard back and forth for the first 20 seconds, and then, surprisingly, Jamil Nefati lands a nice right hook that sends Varyat down and out to the canvas, which seems a little odd because he was protecting himself when the hook came in, and even when he was falling down and then is magically out, but since he's not moving, one of the refs calls a stop to the action so they can get that checked out, and thankfully he does come to. And then, unlike any other 2v2 fight we've seen, Jamil leaves the cage and joins the corner while his brother Jamel takes on Wozniak in a one-on-one. And once we go to the ground, this fight might be coming to an end. Well, look at that. The Nefati brothers claim the win via right hook and rear naked choke. Caposa said at the end of this fight, only in Polish MMA, and they are definitely known for their obscure fights, and although this one definitely wasn't as crazy as some from the past, it was just bizarre enough that we had to show you, but congrats to the Nefati brothers for both claiming their first MMA win. Moving on, we're gonna head to Cage Titans 55 in Massachusetts, where we have a lightweight matchup that sees Wayne Downer, who is just making his amateur debut, and he's taking on Kyle Paval, who is also just making his amateur debut. Okay, so we have another one that makes it to the second round, but it only lasts for a minute, and here is your cringe warning because we haven't had one of these in a while, but something is about to break, and it is not very pretty.
Oh, he's in a full crucifix. Wow. American. His arm just broke. Oh my God, right in front of my
Yeah, that one looked like it hurt a lot. Downer is trying to escape from the bottom, and when he uses the cage to kick off, he is unfortunately spinning himself into an Americana that Pavao has, and, well, what happened next you already saw, and it doesn't get much easier to watch the second, third, fourth, or hell, even the fifth time. It is absolutely brutal. We are truly hoping for a quick recovery for Downer because that is just absolutely unfortunate since this was just his amateur debut, so we hope this process is smooth and he can get back to it when he's ready. And Caposa also said that he talked to someone from Cage Titans and they said that the pop echoed around the arena and actually made a few people pass out. And like we said, this was an awful way to make a debut for Downer, but it was just about the opposite for Pavao as he lands this win and secures his first MMA win. Now we're going to take a look at Rocket Combat Sports 10 in Virginia, where we have more of an honorable mention due to limited footage, so take a look. Brutal head kick knockouts, my favorite. So that's Cody Matthews landing this beautiful head kick, and this win improves him to an even 2-2 record, and actually his last fight before this was at Bellator 261 where he sadly lost. And our poor gentleman that just ate that head kick, well, that's Ben Coyle, who now has just a 1-3 record. I wish we had another angle or a replay of this one, but it's just another one that was too good for us to leave out, so we had to include it this week so you all could see. But congratulations to Matthews for landing this head kick at the end of the first round and for improving his record to 2-2. And for our last fight this week, we're heading to LFA 140 in North Dakota, and we didn't forget because it is time for Caposa's Prospect of the Week. Here we have the main event flyweight title fight for the vacant belt that sees Rizvan Abuev with a nice 12-3 record, and he's taking on Carlos Mota, who also has a nice 7-1 record. Okay, perfect. We've got the title on the line, both fighters have solid records and are in prime prospect status, so a win here in LFA for the belt could be huge for their career. And as we just passed the 3-minute mark of round one, who do you think is going to claim the vacant belt?
72% of his strikes right now. 68% of his punches. God! Have the knockout special!
And ladies and gentlemen, we have our prospect, the one and only Carlos Mota. So let's get into this guy's career a little bit. As I said earlier, taking this flyweight belt in LFA might as well just be your golden ticket to the UFC or at the very least the Contender Series, and to justify that statement, Mota's only loss was against Charles Johnson for this same belt back in January where he lost, and then Johnson was immediately brought up to the UFC where he fought Muhammad Makayev back in July. And now that Mota is the LFA flyweight champion and has a solid record of 8-1, and you combine all of that with his striking and power that was displayed here as well as a solid ground game, the only logical next step for him is to see him in the UFC or the Contender Series, so we will definitely be waiting and keeping our eye out for that. But until then, everyone welcome your new LFA flyweight champion. It's a new month, which means we're starting over from scratch with new KOs, subs, and prospects for this month, so make sure you keep checking in over the next few weeks and leave your favorite ones down below in the comments. And as far as last month is concerned, we had this insane flying knee KO from Desmond Manaba at Tough Enough 129 just last week. And for our submission of the month, it goes to Edward Pena for this beautiful leg Kimura that he displayed at the same event as the KO of the month. And for our prospect of the month, we saw the most comments for Imam Shapi Mukhtarov, who had this nasty liver kick at Eagle FC 50 last week. That won him the interim Eagle FC welterweight belt, so congrats to all three of our August winners, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more from all of you here soon. And we always have to say a massive thank you to Caposa for helping us with these videos, so if you don't already, go ahead and give him a follow on his Twitter at Grabaka_Hitman, and you can also show him some support by checking out his Patreon at patreon.com/Caposa. And if you also want to watch these fights as they happen live each week, check out his website at GrabakaHitman.com for weekly live schedules and the easiest way to watch all of this crazy regional MMA. We also want to say a huge thank you to all of these organizations for hosting these events year-round for our viewing pleasure, and to the fighters, winners, and losers, and we will see you all on the next video. Peace!